Well, tonight on Newsnight, we will be looking at the airline industry. And on the June 17th, the Civil Aviation Authority, that is CAA, that does run the industry here in this country, did withdraw the licenses of 3 airlines. And we'll be discussing the impact of that withdrawal and why several months into that withdrawal, these airlines have actually not been or net taken off to the sky. That and much more on Newsnight in a moment.
Brought to you by brightermonday.co.ug, Uganda's #1 job site.
Welcome to Newsnight. The old man of the clan, Andrew Mwenda, CEO of the Independent magazine. Andrew, let's look at this.
And mender of broken hearts.
Wow, that's interesting. On the 7th of June, CAA, through a letter from ICAO, which is the international organization that runs the industry, writes to 3 airlines. Air Uganda as one, and the other airline, I think, was the Uganda Cargo, of course, and also Sky. I just trying to find the other. But these 3 airlines were the only airlines operating out of Entebbe, the only airlines registered here in Uganda. They say this was a precaution because they had warned these 3 airlines to obey what initially had been some rules set up by ICAO. They didn't do any wrong. First
of all, ICAO, for our viewers, is the International Civil Aviation Organization.
Yes.
No organization.
Yes.
I am reliably informed the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, came here to Uganda in 2008 to assess the performance of Civil Aviation Authority and left them a series of benchmarks and measures they need to put in place for them to be certified by ICAO as having the capacity to issue licenses to airlines flying out of Entebbe. If you look at the papers for Air Uganda, for example, and perhaps even DASAIR, you will find that the international organizations that deal with issues of safety, like IATA, have certified Air Uganda. So the question is, why would an airline that has been certified by all the international organizations on all issues of safety standards, whatever it is, has been cleared, cannot fly? The issue is that when ICAO came back last year, 5 years later, to assess whether Civil Aviation Authority had complied with the requirements that had been put, that it was required to comply with, they found it was non-compliant. So ICAO removed the ability of Civil Aviation Authority to issue licenses to these airlines. So all the airlines to whom it issued licenses in the last 5 years, their licenses were revoked.
But that CAA says that's not true. The public relations manager, CAA, Igni Gundura, does say, and he's quoted to say, 1, this industry is heavily regulated, and they're not operating a bus company or a bus organization. Yes. They are really operating an industry that is heavily regulated by ICAO. And if it was CAA that had a problem, then the airport would have been shut. Wouldn't even still be having any flights coming in.
Well, I had a meeting with Mr. Makuza, who is the managing director of Civil Aviation Authority. I have not talked to Igundura. We met on the plane from Dubai to Uganda. And during our discussion, he raised this issue. He said, look, the issues raised by ICAO, we referred them back to these airlines, and some airlines have met them and we have reissued them licenses, but Air Uganda has been slow, and we have been in the process of doing so. But when I came back here, I talked to some of the leaders in the airlines. I do not know whether you read the story in the Independent.
Yes.
In the story on this matter.
Yes.
You will find that when they revoked the licenses of these airlines, a lot of the airlines that are based here at Kajansi did write to Civil Aviation Authority. They said, look, you are raising now issue A, B, C, D, F, G on matters of safety. These are issues that you had not raised before. You cannot revoke our license on grounds which you had not discussed with us or even raised. It is like me waking up one morning or NTV and say they are firing you for wearing a black suit, when this was not part of your performance targets.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's look at the concerns in the industry right now. Just an air ticket to Nairobi costs $500 over $500.
And it used to be $200.
290, you get yourself a very good
sometimes even
ticket.
175. Remember, we were buying tickets to Kigali with $179.
Yes. Now, well, CA has put in some mitigating measures by having Rwanda Air fly from Uganda to Juba. But we still have one airline flying the route, the Nairobi Entebbe route. Clearly, this is a huge cost on many people who are traveling, and it makes doing business in the region very expensive.
You see, I personally have some concerns about Civil Aviation Authority in the sense that if you look at the Uganda air industry, the aviation industry in Uganda, it has grown by leaps and bounds. I am told Air Uganda in the last so many years has paid Civil Aviation Authority something like $15 million. If you look at these airlines in Kajansi, the volume of traffic in Uganda was increasing, and I'm sure there must be something Civil Aviation Authority was doing right that has allowed. We used to have about 3 airlines. Right now we have about 17 airlines that land here. We have about 21 flights on a daily basis, something like that. In other words, the aviation industry has been growing very well. But there are certain things that would worry you about Civil Aviation Authority, which are look, one of the bridges at the airport has been malfunctional for 3 months. Every airline that uses that bridge pays $100 per time they land and use it.